What's up YouTube, this is Juice Audio, and today I'm looking at the dw.fearn VT-5 and VT-7 EQ and mastering compressor. This is going to be part 3 of my little series. In part 2 we reviewed the Hazelrig VLC, and in part 1 we just talked about the gear with Eric, the marketing of this company. So in today's video we're going to be running through some tests, trying out the EQ and the compressor and seeing what it sounds like. I'll be going through a few of my songs, a few songs I found online, also some drums and guitar tracks we recorded here. So let's get started. So before we start, I just want to mention that this gear was lent to me from the dw.fearn team. It is not sponsored by them and all thoughts are of my own. My next video is actually an interview with Doug Fern and the Hazelrig brothers. So stay tuned for that, where we're talking a lot of detail about their equipment and the gear and the thought process behind all of it. Everyone from the Fern Hazelrig team is amazing and incredibly knowledgeable. So I'm super excited to drop that video. And I also want to say shout out Eric for getting this all set up. So both of these units can be found in mostly mastering studios across the world. Of course, that shouldn't stop you from throwing it on the mix bus or individual instruments, because the sound this gives you is nothing short of amazing. Both of these units are completely no expense spared. They're handmade with the highest quality components and craftsmanship. Just listen to how these EQ knobs sound. They're the crispiest, most quality knobs I have ever heard or turned in my life. You know how us gearheads are. It feels and looks like $1,000,000, and of course, it's not gonna come cheap either. Both of these units combined come in at 22 grand. The VT-5 is a stereo tube EQ with 5 adjustment points in a Pultec style. It is incredibly smooth and musical on any track you throw at it. My favorite is the high end on this thing, and it is so sparkly and non-abrasive. It just makes everything it touches come to life. There's also a plugin called the Ruby 2 from Acoustic that was painstakingly modeled after this EQ, but of course it is hard to beat the sound of real tubes. The VT-7 is a stereo tube pulse width modulation compressor. It is essentially 2 of the Hazelrig VNE compressors combined. It is transparent no matter how hard you hit the signal, and is one of those rare compressors that you can scramble the knobs and it would sound good no matter where you put them. It makes it great for getting a polished yet modern and loud mixes on your mastering chain. So let's get started with the demos. All right guys, let's get started with the mastering EQ stuff here. We got the VT-5 and VT-7. The VT-5 they're both stereo. Just want to get that off the top. And they're very expensive units, you know, 10 grand each. So if you're in the market for this kind of thing, I'm sure you're doing some good work out there. The only other compressors I could think about in that price range would be like the Shadow Hills. Otherwise, I can't really think of anything off the top. But for the EQ wise, we do have the Master Passive here, and I know how that sounds. I will say about the VT-5, the high end, like no matter where I put it, how loud it is, it never hurts my ears. And it's really beautiful sounding. That's one thing I haven't heard before, honestly, on a unit. So I am happy about that in a lot of ways. So I'm gonna be putting that to the test today and showing you guys what all the knobs do, what it does, you know. So let's get started. I got a track that I downloaded from Artlist. I'll put it in the download in the bio. It's a really good mix and has some nice high end, so I'll be fiddling with that. All right guys, so let's mess with the EQ. I'll make sure the compressor's out. There we go. Starting with the high end. Ooh. All right, let's move on to the compressor and get that hammered. So it's a really smooth compressor. Not gonna get any pumping, I've noticed, especially with the high pass filter on. So it's pretty cool. Let's move on to drums, my favorite thing in the world. So let's hear how this drum loop sounds with nothing in it. I'll loop this section here. All right, now let's put the chain in, reset the EQ, make sure the compressor is off. All right, so now we're in. All right, let's get this compressor locked in. This thing is really tight, and messing with the attack, you definitely hear how much bass is letting in when you go from fast to slow. You definitely hear the bass coming in and being introduced. So that's pretty cool. This harder to softer knob over here on the bottom is really, really subtle. And I don't really hear it doing too much, but of course I need some more time with it to understand that. But with the EQ and that sound pretty killer, to be honest. All right, so now we got a little acoustic song, and it's gonna have just vocals and guitars. It's very lightly mixed. It's just a rough from my boy Sean, so let's put that in there. This is gonna be with nothing in it.
I'm praying for better days, that's all that I can say. Just don't lose hope. And this time in my mind, I'm scared I won't grow to be old.
And then with it in, let's mess with it.
I'm praying for better days, that's all that I can say. Just don't lose hope. And this time in my mind, I'm scared I won't grow to be old. All my friends are worried that I need to slow down, this I know. I hope I can fix this before I fall down into my abyss. 6 feet under, gun still attached to my hip. What's love, babe, as you come running to save me? Thank you, but please leave, I am my own worst foe. I'm praying for better days, that's all that I can say. Just don't lose hope. And this time in my mind, I'm scared I won't grow to be old. All my friends are worried that I need to slow down, this I know. I hope I can fix this before I...
All right, so let's do with it in and with it out. So this is without it.
I need to slow down, this I know. I hope I can fix this before I fall down into my abyss. 6 feet under, gun still attached to my hip. What's love, babe, as you come running to save me?
And this is with it in.
I need to slow down, this I know. I hope I can fix this before I fall down into my abyss. 6 feet under, gun still attached to my hip. What's love, babe, as you come running to save me? Thank you, but please leave, I am my own worst enemy. I need to slow.
Honestly, that sounds like super beautiful. That high end with the guitars, it's just so nice. And the EQ and compression together just really polishes it up. So here's like an indie lo-fi type track me and my cousin made. We use mostly, acoustic instruments, a few samples, but nothing too crazy, just a kick and a snare. All right, so here's without all the hardware in. All right, now let's put it in, start messing with it. Sounds good to me. Let's gain match it real quick. So here's without. Here's with. Out. In. All right, so here's some piano. Let's listen to this without first, and then I'll punch it in. Here's in.